schools, Chairman. That's in my division.
Thank you. That means we've got local member input on tap, which is excellent. Any others? No. Right, minutes of the meeting held on the 1st of February 2023. Is it your wish I sign those as a correct record of the meeting? All those in favour? Yeah. Thank you. Agenda item 4, proposed leases to academies. Councillor DeVille.
Yeah, thank you, Leader. It's fairly straightforward in a standard academy lease. The expectation from the Department of Education is that we grant the lease to an academy in standard form. The two schools, Chairman, are the Henhurst Ridge Primary School, Burton-on-Trent, which is indeed in Mr White's division, and Greenleaf First School in the beautiful village of Milwich. Okay, and Mr Parry declares the necessary interest because it's in his division. Thank you, Chairman. I'll bring Jason in if he has any further comments on this agenda item.
Thank you. Yes, they're both standard conversions. The Henhurst one has dragged on a bit. We opened the school in September 2018, but due to a few contractual issues, it's delayed the transfer. But now we're all good to go and seeking approval, please.
Mr Turner, any comments before we move to other officers?
No comments from me, thank you.
Okay, legal.
Yeah, no comments from legal, thank you.
Finance.
No comments, thank you, Chair.
Valuation. Haven't got one.
That's me.
Yes, sorry, you're on screen. Mr Causer is on screen because he has, I understand, COVID. I hope you're feeling okay, Mr Causer. Any comments?
Just thanks, Mr Chairman. No, just occasional coughing fits. I have no comment on this one. Thank you.
Thank you. Local members, Councillor White.
Yes, I'll just say briefly, I had the pleasure of opening this school a few years ago after, as it says here, some construction issues on site. The issues in question were actually that all of the copper piping in the school was stolen. Yes, quite late on in the construction phase, and as you probably know, it's a bit of a job of work to get that replaced at short notice because it's all bespoke. So it's a school that had an interesting start. But I was back at the school just before Christmas, and it's wonderful to see it full of children pursuing their education. It's absolutely thriving, and it's nice that we can grant them this today, hopefully, and it's another loose end tied up for them as they finish their rollout as a new school. So fully supportive.
Councillor Parry, any comments as the local member?
Not really. It's a small school, has struggled with numbers in the past, and I hope this helps it to be stronger and sustainable.
To the remaining members of the committee, because two of the members of the committee are probably cup-tied as a result of it being in their local area, any comments? No? No. In that case, these are always pretty straightforward, the grants of leases to academies. So all those in favour? Thank you. That is approved. Next item on the agenda is the grant of a lease of bus and coach park, Station Road, Cheadle, Staffordshire. Councillor DeVille.
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, in declaring the necessary interest, Chairman, I'm really pleased to see this item come to the group today. It's a retrospective lease for the coach park, which serves both Cheadle Academy and also Paisley Catholic Academy. It's taken some time to finalise the operational arrangements around this, and I've been involved in fairly deep discussions with both schools. The arrangement really will be beneficial to both schools and beneficial to the area. And Chairman, when this lease is completed, the site will be maintained by the academies, hence saving this council money. Any further comments from Mr Wilkinson, Jason?
Thank you. Mr Turner, any additional information we need before we consider?
No information, just as Councillor DeVille says, it's taken a while, and it is good now that the operational arrangements are certain, and the two schools can look after it for the benefits of themselves and their pupils.
Yeah.
Thank you. Legal?
No comment, thank you.
Finance?
No comments, Chair.
Valuation?
No, just a minor comment. The two leases end a year apart from each other. I just didn't know which of the two dates was going to be used for the expiry of the bus station site. Is it the latter one, presumably?
Legal?
Ideally, yes, but it depends which academy has the longer lease. So, but yeah, it will make sense to have it, to coincide with the later lease.
In my professional life, I prefer coterminosity. Makes life a lot easier for future groups who determine these things. So can I ask that you seek to achieve coterminosity in the expiry of those leases? Makes sense. Always does. Okay. Local member. Councillor DeVille.
May I just endorse Mr Turner's comments about the benefit to both schools and the benefit to the area. I'm really pleased that we've managed, after much discussion, to reach this point, Chairman. So the recommendations are to grant a lease of site in the format of the standard Department of Education Academy lease to mirror the existing Academy leases. The final details of transactions to be delegated to the Assistant Director for Commercial and Assets.
Members of the committee, any comments before we go to the vote? Looking. Nobody's indicating. Uh-oh, Mr Turner's got that quizzical look on his face, which is always a bad sign. Is that something that's on your mind, Mr Turner? No? Sure? Good. Any comments? No? In which case, you've heard the recommendations. All those in favour?
Agreed.
For the recommendation, that is unanimous. Brilliant. Moving on to agenda item number 6. Former Audley and Halmer? Halmer End Youth Centre, proposed renewal of lease. Councillor DeVille.
To play cricket in that area, Chairman, against Bignell End, no less. This is an interesting project. There's about 3.5 years left on the current lease. The Halmer End Community Interest Company wishes to apply to the Football Association, that's the Football Foundation, for funding, and to Stoke City Football Club for funding to improve the pitches, particularly improving the drainage of the pitches. This 15-year extended period will then enable the group to apply for the necessary grants. You'll see the pictures in the pack there of extensive usage of the centre from various groups. The building, I'm pleased to say, is in excellent condition and is very, very well used. And you'll probably see a photograph, Leader, there of the local MP making a presentation to the local children, and all the children are interested in is their ice creams. Really good project, Leader, and I'm very pleased to bring it to committee this morning.
Thank you, Councillor DeVille. I don't see you in any of the Tai Chi or armchair yoga photos. Do you participate?
No, I just stick to veterans cricket and walking football, Chairman.
Excellent. Mr Turner, is there any information we need before we move forward with the conversation?
This is one that I've been personally involved in, and I would just like to just sort of hold this up as a really good example of community use of one of our assets. Yes. So they are a really well organised group. They really do look after the building, and they do some fantastic sort of activities from there, and it is a really buzzing, thriving place whenever I've been, particularly around the cafe, and they bring in older people and that kind of stuff. So it's a really brilliant thing to do. And of course, this is securing funds to upgrade the facility. So the football pitch that specifically at the moment, the first one is to upgrade the drainage to the football pitch, which isn't usable throughout the whole of the season because of drainage issues. So that's fantastic. It's just a bit disappointing that the local dog walkers leave their dog mess on there, so that's a bit unfortunate. So we are trying to see if we can join them up with the parish council and that kind of thing to help that out in the future. Yeah. In terms of the site, it's just been put in the neighbourhood plan for open space, so We want to help this be made sustainable for football, local recreation for as long as we can. Thank you.
I think the photographs in the pack are really helpful. It gives you an illustration of how well loved it is, particularly the outside of the building. Right, legal.
No comments, thank you.
Comments?
No comments, thank you.
Valuation?
No, we've done this sort of thing several times before for groups to obtain grant funding, so I have no objection at all.
Do we have comments from the local member, Councillor Wilkes?
He's in support of this.
Thank you. Right. Did I ask you, Mr. Turner, if you had any additional information? I forget now.
You did, and I just gave a bit of a summary. There's nothing further for
Thank
me
you.
to
It's
add.
just, it all blends into one, unfortunately. Right. So members of the committee, any comments or observations? Councillor White.
Yeah, just briefly, I think this is a really strong proposal, and it's almost an object lesson in applying the principles that we've developed over the time this committee's been in operation around how we will allow groups to use these assets. There are a lot of very worthy calls on using our assets, but what we expect is that not only is it being put to a good use, which it plainly is, but also that asset's well looked after and used in a really inclusive way. And demonstrably that's the case in this instance. The photos do tell a tale, don't they? But also you can see there's good governance here. There's a real sense of purpose and there's a real programme being run from this property. So it's exactly where we want to be with this. Great to see, and I'll look forward to supporting it.
Councillor DeVille, then Councillor Parry.
I'm really pleased to bring this report, Chairman. This particular area, it's a really strong community. And I think this is a good example of us helping the communities to help themselves. And I'm totally supportive of this. And thank you for your comments, Mr. White. I totally agree with that.
Councillor Parry.
The grant funding from the Football Association Stoke City is not predicated on any of this, is it? If they don't get it or they do get it, it doesn't change anything. That's about just the football pitches, is it? I wasn't quite sure why that paragraph was in here, really.
Councillor DeVille.
I think, Mr. Parry, that I think the point around that is that with an extended grant, which is the purpose of this report, it puts the community group in a far stronger position to apply for grants from the Football Foundation and from Stoke City than with a short-term lease when they'd have no chance.
Any other comments? You've heard the... Did you give the recommendations?
Chairman.
Heard the proposal.
Yeah, the proposal is to allow surrender of the existing lease and enter into a new lease of up to 15 years to allow for bidding for grants for improvement to the facilities, specifically the Football Association for improvements to the pitches, but also more generally as opportunities for funding bids become available. That's the proposal, Chairman.
Thank you. You've heard the recommendations. All those in favour?
Agreed.
Thank you. That is unanimous. Moving forward then to agenda item number 7, which is exclusion of the public. That the public be excluded from the meeting for the following items of business which involve the likely disclosure of exempt items of information as defined in the paragraphs of Part 1 of Schedule 12A as amended of the Local Government Act 1972 as indicated below.